let's come to your performance. I'll quote something that your director had once told me. He said that Kunal walked in for one of the meetings in the costume. Like, you actually walked in looking like your character. And that itself showed the kind of investment that he wanted to put in from a time when it was at a very, very baby stage.
Yeah.
What about the film and the story made you believe in it? Of course, it's a very sweet and a simple story, but what about it like kind of drew you?
The simplicity. I just felt that here was a film that if you ask somebody to tell you what Lootcase is in one line, it would be something that you've seen before, you've heard before, not just once, multiple times. Because a common man finding a bag of money and things going wrong and people looking for it, it's been done before. But when I did read the script, it was the simplicity that stood out, of how Nandan Kumar is and how his relationship with his wife is, how with his son is, and it was so real, because I've also grown up in and around people and societies like these, and I could completely relate to it.
Hmm.
And that simplicity and the unadulterated humor,
Yeah.
it wasn't that a scene is being written for a joke to land. A
Hmm.
scene is being written, but that scene is just funny. Like the whole Chinese conversation that the husband and wife have, or even with Vijay Raj and his goons, the whole National Geographic thing, it was so new. And like even my relationship with the bag itself,
I was
like
gonna
I'd
come
never
to that.
seen that.
Yeah.
That Anand Petikar and the kind of relationship that Nandan has with that bag was like, when I was seeing it, I could imagine like it would be so much fun to play this part. And luckily, the whole creative team was just in the same space, whether it's Rajesh Krishnan or Kapil Sawant who wrote the film with him.
Hmm.
It was just the right kind of people got together to make the right kind of film.
Right. I was gonna come to the fact that your biggest love story in the film is with the bag.
Yeah.
How did you create that chemistry? Because it's very difficult to do that with inanimate objects.
Uh, I mean, it was so nice. It was just like it all began on paper, because you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
imagine it, but if you see in a lot of ways, like they say diamonds are girls' best friends, and you just have to put that into an emotion. Like, this became my best friend, and what would I want? Because he's my best friend, because I love him the most, because it's something that I've not had my entire life, and now I have him. And that's why, in fact, I've said this before. The first time he opens the bag and he starts to cry, it was
yeah.
never written like that. That was the only scene we weren't sure of, कि
Hmm.
जब नंदन पहली बार अकेले कमरे में आएगा और ये बैग खोलेगा और इतने सारे पैसे देखेगा, will he talk to him like a friend, or should we make it a romantic conversation? And then it was just that instinctive thing. I opened the bag. He said, okay, do whatever you want to do. I opened the bag and I started crying. And I was like, because I think it's like, when you really love a girl for a very long time and you don't have the heart to propose to her, and you dare and you say, will you go out with me? And she says yes. I'm sure you must be like running over with emotions, like getting emotional, saying, "ये इतने साल से मैं क्या सोच रहा था और ये मिल गया." So it was one of those things, and I like I said, it was just the right energies and the right kind of people who made sure that we never go overboard and we don't go too much underplay. And I think the pitch was just right in that film for everybody, not just me. I think everybody, whether it's a technician or a background score or editor, direction, dialogues, all the smallest characters in the film, they all were the heroes. And I think that's why Nandan looks so much better.
Right, right. How much of it was on paper, and what did you bring to Nandan?
A lot of it was on paper, but a lot of energy. I think what actors do is they bring energies. I mean, you bring that character to life, because I think when a writer and a director and a writer director together, they're thinking for everybody, right? They're thinking for so many characters in the film and how they will be. But when an actor gets on board, he very selfishly only is invested in that part. So he's single-mindedly only thinking of what is the backstory of this guy, how will he behave. So they bring in a lot of energy,
Hmm.
in bringing it to life. And I think that's what happened with Nandan, because I could relate to people like this, and I've seen Nandans in my life. I've maybe a part of Nandan has been myself, who has aspirations, and sometimes you talk a lot, but you really don't walk the walk, and you're like, oh, but मेरा ये फंसा हुआ हूँ, नहीं तो मैं कुछ कर लेता life में. So a lot of those things, and the more I talked about Nandan with Rajesh, when we were just discussing from the script, he started to become clearer and clearer in my head. And I really can't tell you that what I added to him besides the physical energy
Hmm.
and a few tidbits that you bring in. I don't think it was exactly imagined that way by Kapil, Rajesh, or myself when we read the script.
Hmm. Hmm.
But when you wear the costume, you look a certain way, then you start playing with the things that you have, with the props that you have, then the chemistry that you have with the actor, you build on it. So I think that's one of those amazing things about being an actor and being in this process, because it continues to build.
Hmm.
It never happens कि अभी ये लिखा अभी exactly वैसा बनेगा. Sometimes it goes the wrong way also. Sometimes on paper it's something amazing,
Hmm.
but by the time you're done with it, it doesn't add up.
That's it, because you are a writer. You do write sometimes. You have
Yeah.
written Go Goa Gone, which I absolutely enjoyed. I don't know when the second one coming, but it is one of my all time favorite films. Like I can watch it any day. Does the writer in you ever step in when you're acting on set, especially when the process is like this?
Yeah, of course it does. And I'm saying but I'm also aware of the fact that I'm allowed to give suggestions, but I truly believe that the director eventually becomes the captain of the ship. So
Hmm.
I've always believed in having a healthy dialogue, whether it's with my writer or the director, and understanding, because it's not necessarily that he's right or I'm right. Because like I said, it's still a process. We're still building this. And if it hits the right spot, then like I said, like my director gave me that free will to say that, okay, whatever you feel like doing when you open the bag.
Hmm.
And I decided to cry, and it worked. And that's where it went. Similarly, in comedies, a lot of times we ad lib, or we'll add a line. And like I said, when you're working with an actor and the chemistry is working and the props are working and you're feeling a certain way, you a lot of times ad lib. So similarly, I discuss whatever I feel is right or wrong, but that most of that happens before we go to set. Uh, and like I said, always the final authority or the stamp on that has to be of the director.
Kunal, do you think comedy is your stronghold? Is that the genre that you shine brightest in?
Maybe because I think that is something that the audiences will tell me. I really enjoy doing every single thing that I do. I haven't, luckily, unfortunately, been in a position where I was doing a part or acting and I said कि यार ये मुझसे नहीं हो रहा है,
Hmm.
and maybe ये गलत कर लिया मैंने, या I'm not able to do this. I've really enjoyed doing everything, but like I said, it's the audiences who will tell me what they really enjoy watching me in, uh, and the critics. And I have to say, I feel very fortunate that whether it's a Malang or a Abhay or then a Loot Case, and all of them happening in the same year,
Hmm.
it's never been that, "Arey, why did he do this? He's better at that." Thank God, fingers
Thank
crossed,
God
and I
for
really
that.
want to keep doing that.
Yeah.
But yes, comedy I also feel is something that you can watch whenever. You
Hmm.
know, even when we watch shows on TV, if even if it's a Game of Thrones, you have to like really find time and space to watch it because you need the bandwidth. It's serious or anything in drama. Whereas a Friends or a Family Guy or a Simpsons or a Two and a Half Men, you can just turn it on anytime and you will enjoy watching it because comedies are like that, right? So I think I'm very lucky that I've managed to find my niche
Hmm.
in comedy. So I mean, I know that a lot of times I get said that he's very dependable when it comes to comedy, and I think I've earned that, and I'm very happy that I have, because comedy is probably one of the toughest things to do, because I don't think you can there'll be a midway to comedy. You're either good at it or you're not. There is no mid ground. Otherwise, it's like, oh, he's trying too hard, but it's not working.
Kunal, you also had Abhay this year, you had Malang this year, and then there was this. And clearly, Lootcase is the one that we all, I think I can say for at least my team, we remember you from that movie because it just connected with all of us at a very personal
Yeah.
level. What kind of compliments came your way after the film release? Like, what was that one most interesting compliment that you're like, okay, I'm gonna hold on to that?
No, something that I'll never forget. It was the biggest high of my life was when Mr. Bachchan, reached out, and I told him, I said, I have seen you do this in the past, and often imagine that one day I will have a performance that you will watch and like, and I will get this letter, and I was very happy because also I remember when I met him before the film came out, I think he'd seen the trailer, and I met him, and he remembered those lines, and he said, I really love what you did, and for me, because I mean, he is like the big B in the
Just a
in
bunch.
so many ways. He has so many tags attached to his name. But I'm saying for me, it was just I've grown up watching him on screen, and I think every Indian hero that is wanted to want to be an actor has watched Zanjeers and has watched Khuda Gawaz and Agnipath, and for me to have that man say that he really liked my work, and I think he's also somebody who's done everything right. He's
Yeah.
an action comedy, and he's brilliant at comedy. So when he gave me that compliment, I'm never going to forget that. I have that letter, and I'm never going to. So I think that was the high point for Lootcase for me, was when Mr. Bachchan complimented me and he wrote me that lovely letter.
Kunal, you are a very consistent actor. It's not from now, from every film of yours, right from your first film. Do you feel you don't get your due, and what does that do to you? Because I feel sometimes you just don't get your due. You are really good.
Often, often I do, and I think everybody who's an actor would at some point. Mine becomes slightly more frustrating at times because, like, I hear you say this, and I hear so many people say this to me, and then I don't know what the true answer for that is. But over the years, I have realized that it's very easy to get stuck in that trap.
Hmm.
But also understand that there is, if there is something that you can do something about, then you should definitely go and do something about it. But I've realized that this in this space is something that I do not have an answer for this, even though I may feel that it is happening. So I've decided to work on myself and keep reinventing myself and trying to do the best with whatever I have and try to get better and better work, because that's the only thing that I'm in control of. Everything that we might say is unfair, is favoritism, or I mean, I don't even believe, but all the isms, that nepotisms and all of these that get thrown away, they, I mean, we can talk about it, we can fight about it, but at the end of the day, they're not in my control. I can't change that. And why should I go mental about something that I really can't do? So hence, like I said, I mean, even though if I may feel like that,
Hmm.
and I have in the past, but I have tried to, even though sometimes it does seep in, to kind of put blinders on and say, let me concentrate on this and now and what I can do and do better at that. Because, like I said, it's just a negative space to get into.
Right. But the frustration could linger. And last 1 year we have discussed, not 1 year, in fact, last 3 years we've been discussing isms and isms and isms. Has anything changed at a ground level?
I mean, the last year has basically been in a standstill, so it's too early to say that if something has changed. But on the other hand, I also feel if you practically look at it, as much as it may seem like unfair, this is a business that is built a certain way. I mean, of course, the wrongdoings and malpractices are a no-no,
Hmm.
but anybody who comes to become an actor needs to understand that he or she is basically signing up for this, because not everything is going to be a big film, 100 crore box office, all the awards in the world, because the number of people that are coming to be actors are way more than the number of people who are actually coming to be producers or directors, or the number of films. And there are only so many big production houses that can only make so many films,
Hmm.
and they choose to work with who they work with. We might choose to say that this is wrong, but they might have a different answer for it. So of course it's great to have that debate and try and say, why can't talent have its place under the sun, and why do, because they might say that just because we think that this one is talented, and it's like, you love Lootcase, somebody else like some other film, and we can talk about this one was better or that one was better. Anyways, I think I'm drifting away, but it's also been a discussion that's been so relevant and so topical through this year.
Yeah.
I've also, because I've had so many discussions, tried to understand in a way that I don't become a bitter person, but I want to come out of this a better person who wants to initiate that dialogue without having to fear that, oh, even if I raise my voice, I might lose work, or I might lose this, or I might lose that, because there has to be a healthy environment where everybody works. Because I got into this industry because I really enjoy my work.
Hmm.
Now everything else that sucks the joy out of it,
Hmm.
I have to try and balance out.
Yeah. But is the industry really evolving? Especially with the coming
It
of.
is evolving. I mean, it is evolving, whether you like it or not. I mean, look at this. We didn't have digital. I mean, even when I started, my first film in 2005 was shot on film,
Yeah.
and then digital came in, and it changed. And as a kid, when I don't remember having 23-year-old directors, but now it's a common thing that more younger people are coming, different kind of films are being made. Nobody knew about the web space and what it would do in so many ways.
Hmm.
So it's come. Now we are trying to adjust to it. So I think the industry on its own is constantly evolving. It's trying to I mean, this coronavirus has happened. Theaters have shut down. What's going to happen there? We don't know. So, like everything else in life, this industry is also evolving. Sometimes we like the way it evolves, and sometimes we don't like the way it evolves. But good or bad, it is going to cater to the needs of what the audiences want. Because at the end of the day, and that's the other part of the discussions that we've been having. I mean, it's not fair to put this on the audience, because they sometimes they don't have access to everything else,
Sure.
because a lot goes into building a so-called star. It's not just the film he does or she does. It's also the kind of PR they get, the kind of standing they get. It's a difference on being on the front page of a paper as opposed to being on the seventh, or being on the cover of a magazine, or as opposed to being a feature inside. So all of those things are there, but at the end of the day, if the audiences decide not to watch that film and films keep going down, after a point, you can't do anything about it. So the buck stops there.
Right. So is there a level playing field now or no?
It's too early. Like I say, it's too early to say, because we haven't even gotten to that side, right? This discussion started 6 months ago. We're still in. I mean, we controlled lockdown, I must say. We are still understanding what the digital space is going to do, because it kind of suddenly took over in this phase. Not to say that theaters are ever going to go away, because I think the joy of watching a film in a cinema with all your friends and families at time cannot be replaced by watching it at home or on phone. There'll be different content for that. But the thing of this level playing field, I don't think it's going to be that easy.
Hmm.
Uh, it's going to take some time, and I hope that it reaches that point. Uh, but like I said, we'll all have to work at it together without being bitter and without, mud slashing. And I don't know if there is any other way, because some people believe that if you're not extreme enough, nothing's going to happen. Uh, so yeah, I mean, we'll figure out a way. I think we'll evolve into that, hopefully.
Do you ever feel that it's difficult to open your mouth and speak up in this industry, because sometimes a lot of feedback is not taken in a good context, or taken in a or evolves into a healthy conversation. uh, at that point in time when you tweeted, was it a difficult choice for you?
No, not really. The reason what happens is, when it comes to social media platforms or even making a statement somewhere, I believe that when it is a like, see, you and I are having a dialogue right now. I have the bandwidth to understand what you're trying to say and try to make my point, and we're having a dialogue. What happens is, there you just say one thing. Now it's up to interpretation. How do you interpret that? Like, it's like message. Like, if you tell somebody, like, I might joke with a friend saying, "Hey, get out of here, man." But if I write that to somebody, he'll be like, "Arey, he told me to get out there. What is this nonsense?" You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of loss in translation. What happens on a social media platforms, especially, is before you even got a chance to say, there are thousands of responses. Some response, and वो बात का बखेड़ा हो जाता है ना. And
Huh.
then you're like, now how do I explain what? क्योंकि कुछ लोग तो किसी बात को कहीं और ले जाते हैं.
Correct.
So when it came to that, that was an important point where I needed to say something, because like I always say, like, the film industry has existed before I existed, and the norms have been set. I've become a part of it. But the web space is something that is happening in my lifetime,
Yeah.
and I have to make sure that if I don't voice what I think is right or wrong right now, then decades later somebody would be like, "Why didn't somebody set the ball straight?" I'm not saying that me saying that will think set things straight, but it was important for me, because there was a sense of hurt that I felt, and I didn't want to say it in a way that, oh, uh, this is wrong. But that's why, I just those were the best things that came to my mind, and that's what I said.
You were actually very dignified in your response and very, very poised about how you carried yourself through all of this. Uh, Kunal, how do you find the emotional strength to survive like this after so many years?
Uh, I think you have to understand that, this, I mean, as tough as it may sound for people who are actually doing that, this is just a part of your life. It can't become your life, because if this becomes your entire life, then, buddy, you're going to have a tough time. Having said that, it does get tougher, because in a way, actors are emotional people. That's how we emote, and that's how we make every character believable. So hence, you have to also invest, while you're investing a lot of time, attention, and focus towards this. You have to invest in the right kind of friends, your family. In my case, my wife and my daughter, and because that is your real life. And like I said, I mean, you might spend 10 hours or 8 hours in a day sometimes doing this, and you will have hits and flops, and you will be Nandan Kumar today and Michael Rodriguez tomorrow. But at the end of the day, you're still Kunal Kemmu, who has to live with Soha and an Inaya at home and have my own parents. So if your base here is strong, then you'll always find your emotional strength from here, and that eventually will make you go through a lot. And I think sometimes people underestimate themselves, and we all have our low points. But
Hmm.
the idea is you have to let that moment pass, because sometimes we do stupid things in that, because in that weakest moment we feel that nothing is, it's like the darkness. But you have to know, if you just somehow either speak to somebody or do something just to past that moment, you will automatically get into a better phase of mind. It's like running. When you do a 20-minute run, your body just releases those endorphins that you feel positive and better.
Now that we are in a new year, what are you working on? What's brewing work-wise?
I mean, there's some interesting stuff happening. Abhay will have its season 3. There's something else that I'm doing, but contractually I'm obliged not to talk about it until it's there. But we've begun work on that. It's something that I'm very excited about. And then there are a couple of things, but I honestly believe in this industry until you actually start working on anything. That
Yeah.
word pipeline is a very dangerous one. I've also used it, but that pipeline, you never know. There might not be, that opening might get shut some point.
Oh my
But
God,
no,
don't say that. Touch wood.
no, I'm saying there is some interesting stuff that I've been reading, which I would love to be a part of. But confirmed, what I know is Abhay happening, this show that I'm doing, and then there's another film. Uh, when it happens, I'll talk about it.
And then there's Go Goa Gone. You're not mentioning that?
Honestly, with the only thing that I can now with clarity say, that I have no idea, because there have been so many years that we've come so close to doing it. I think Gogo Agon 2 must have had some 3 different announcements over the years that it's going to start. But for various reasons, it's always kind of come to a standstill. And I think that's where it is. And it'll be a pity if you don't actually make a sequel. But as of now, I don't think, I mean, I don't know if it's happening.
Well, I hope that one definitely happens amongst a lot of other things. Cool.
I
Thank
hope so
you
too.
so much. Thank you so much, Kunal. I had a great time chatting with you and wish you
Thank
all
you,
the
Mohar.
best. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.